What if Peter Thiel is wrong about economic growth? Peter Thiel and many other guys, Eric Weinstein and so on and so forth, seem to believe that economic growth is necessary to sort of maintain society, to keep a certain level of quality of life, standard of living. And they've been saying for years now that if you don't have growth, if you have what they characterize as stagnation, that ultimately society is going to fall apart, everything's going to collapse, and it could be a number of different outcomes, disastrous outcomes, civil war, you know, chaos, dictatorship, totalitarian state. It could be a number of bad outcomes that would uh, result in if there's no more growth. In other words, growth is the only thing that's actually holding society together. It's the only thing that is allowing you to have a democracy, that's allowing you to have freedom of speech. It's the only thing that keeps things going, that keeps society working. And on the surface, it makes sense. In order for people to have jobs, to have employment, you need companies to grow, to hire people, to make money, and all that stuff. Even though now with technology, automation, AI, companies can grow, and they're trying to grow without having to hire more people. You could see that in the case of Amazon, Meta, all those companies. And so, first of all, that may not even be true. Maybe companies might be able to grow without having to share the new wealth with people. And the sort of notion that they created that they call, I believe they call it employee covered growth, something like that. Basically, the growth that allows them to pay people more money. Regardless, what we're seeing is not only are these companies trying to find ways to create more income, more profits with fewer people, but also, what if growth was actually not the solution that people think it is? What if it was not the thing that, as I said, is actually benefiting society and protecting society, but might be the thing that's doing the opposite? Maybe we've had enough growth. Maybe there's no more healthy growth that's possible. And when I say healthy growth, I basically mean growth that doesn't have any negative sort of like a negative side effects, or what they call externalities, like growth that doesn't hurt the economy in other ways. Or what if that's not gonna be possible for many decades, for until we have some major technological breakthrough like nuclear fusion, something that allows you to generate unlimited energy? What if in the meantime healthy growth is just not possible because we've built enough houses? Well, obviously not. I mean, if you have a growing population in some places like New York and those places, you might need more housing. But what if by and large across the country you already have too much housing to the point where the majority of apartment units are empty, right? What if you've built too many cars? There's just 2 billion cars. You don't need to keep building more cars or electric vehicles, cyber trucks, all these things. You already have too many of them that nobody's using. What if you produce too much food? The food is basically, most of it is going to the dumpster. Like, nobody's gonna eat all that food. Even people can eat as much as they want and they can put on a bunch of weight. There's still way too much food production. What if we're already doing too much, and that the solution was actually it's not more growth, it's not let's borrow a bunch of money and then give it to a bunch of startups and companies and pretend that the economy is growing, pretend that GDP is growing. Let's invest trillions of dollars in AI, and let's build a bunch of data centers and do all these things. What if that's actually the opposite of what we should be doing? Right? So there's this author named Philip B. Weeks who wrote this book called The Stationary City. The Stationary City, meaning a city that stopped growing. It stopped growing as far as no new construction, right? It doesn't mean that it stopped growing in terms of population, but it basically means it stopped growing in terms of geographical expansion. So no new development, no new buildings, no new housing. Basically, it's going to keep the same size, but it's mostly going to focus on renovation, improving quality of life, focusing on the qualitative side of things instead of the quantitative. Instead of building more units, more housing, a bunch of more stuff, it's just going to improve the things that already exist. And basically what he's explaining is that that's actually the way to go. And if you're in Europe, for example, building more housing is actually a waste of money, because for the most part, for every new house or apartment that you build, basically half of them are gonna be empty. Like half of them are not gonna have a tenant, right? It's like they're building more housing than they actually need in order to grow the economy, because growing the economy starts with construction. Basically, you build a bunch of things and then you hope that people actually use them to do something else. And that is very counterproductive. The money should be going into renovating, helping people with different things. And maybe that should apply throughout the whole economy. Maybe throughout the whole economy, or most of the economy, you want the money going into repairing things, maintaining things, fixing things, helping people, helping those who may be struggling with housing, or maybe homeless, or healthcare. You already have the technology needed to help those people. If they have a health issue, you already have most of the pharmaceuticals, most of the equipment. It's just a matter of, do you want to do it for free, or do you want to let them die because they don't have insurance? Right? Maybe you can spend the money there, right? So chasing for growth might actually lead us into spending money in the hopes of getting something in return. We're going to spend all this money and it's going to generate more returns, more innovation, more growth. We certainly see that with AI. These companies are investing hundreds of billions of dollars hoping that it leads to something. In the case of OpenAI, they laid out what they think the strategy is. So obviously they don't think that the money is gonna come from chatbots. They're already maximizing how much money they can make from ChatGPT and things like that. The next goal for OpenAI, for example, is robotics, as Sam Altman explained, robotics, scientific research, and so on and so forth. Same thing with Meta. Meta wants to do robotics, but Meta also wants to do, obviously, virtual reality. They're investing in that. So they're pushing the economy in a direction where you don't quite see what the practical, useful benefits are. Okay, we're gonna build robots and they're gonna come to your house and they're gonna clean the house for you, but it's gonna cost you $30,000 for a robot. I don't know. Do I want to spend $30,000? If you're a poor middle class person, do you want to spend 30 grand buying some robot to do the dishes for you when you could just do the dishes yourself? Okay, well, yeah, all right. Maybe if you make 6 figures a year and you have a bunch of money saved up, okay, but in the meantime, I don't know. So these guys, they have a certain technological view, but they want to believe that that's going to lead to extreme growth. I just don't think so. Or I don't see the evidence for it so far, unless you figure out nuclear fusion, which is you could say, is sort of a bottleneck. The only company that I cannot trust right now, to be honest with you, is Google. I feel like Google is the only company that is working on innovation that may actually end up making a real difference. Not that I don't trust OpenAI. I feel like OpenAI is still a startup that, in order for them to achieve those things, it would take a very long time. Whereas Google already has the infrastructure needed to carry out all those things. We'll see. But in general, what I'm saying is maybe growth could actually be misleading us. Okay, maybe sort of spending a bunch of money hoping that it multiplies, that it grows, might not be the way to go. It might be you want to spend that money on existing issues, fixing these things in front of you, focusing on quality of life, helping people, instead of some grand technological utopia that may not materialize. Maybe Peter Thiel was wrong. We'll see.